Hello viewers, welcome again to this special video. This is a special economics video that we've made for O-level exams. So starting from the GCE, the WAEC, the Neco, these questions are questions that you will find in all of these exams. So they will be relevant any day, anytime. So sit with me and enjoy this beautiful and interesting class. And remember, if you have questions, please use the comment section to ask them. I'm happy to take your questions. Let's get into them. Question 1. Which of the following is a factor of production? What are factors of production? You can simply put the components or the things, the things that make production possible in a country, in a state, in a private organization. And we have 4 of them. Do you remember them? You have the land, you have the labor, you have entrepreneur, and then you have capital. That's your own money or your investors' money, that you use in starting the production or in running that production. So which of these, from those 4 things I've listed, which of these is in those 4 things I've listed? And that would be option C. Entrepreneurial ability. That's the entrepreneur. Is input into the business. So this is the only one that is a factor of production. Money and the others are not. Question 2. If the government fixes a price below the market equilibrium, the likely result is what? So the government put a price tag or a price ceiling on goods. So what happens? And that price ceiling that the government puts is lower than the market equilibrium. It's lower than what should obtain after the product has hit the market. What the manufacturers or the producers of the product will have loved to sell the product based on the expenses that they gathered in producing that product. So it's lower than the market equilibrium. What will happen? What will happen is that there will be shortage. Why? Because a lot of people will rush the product because the product is cheap, leading to what? Shortage of the product, and it will also lead to the producers of the products will not make profit. They won't make money, so they won't be able to produce a lot of it. There will be shortage. Okay, so that's shortage. So there must always be government liaising with the manufacturers, the producers, in order to come up with a particular price that will benefit both hands. That's the consumers and the producers of the product. Question 3. The law of demand states that ceteris paribus, in other words, all things being equal. Okay. A, quantity demanded rises as price rises. Quantity demanded falls as price rises. Quantity demand curve slopes upwards, and supply equals demand. It's not this and it's not this. So quantity demanded falls as price rises. Simple. That's true. Say this marker is 200 naira per one, and I increase it to 500 naira. What happened? The quantity that I'm the producer, I increase this marker price from 200 to 500. What happened? The quantity that schools will have bought of this marker, maybe schools will have often buy 20 or 30 per week. Okay, so what happens? The proprietors and the principals of these schools will begin to communicate with the staff that this thing is not expensive. Please, we can only buy 10 now, so no wastage. So what happens? The quantity requested or the quantity demanded drops as the price increases. It's a law of demand if or when all things are equal, right? So that's how you see this ceteris paribus there. So quantity demanded must fall if the price of a commodity increases. The quantity requested of it must crash or fall. Now question 4. A country GDP. First of all, what's GDP? That's gross domestic product. What's gross domestic product of a country? It's measured per year or sometimes per quarter of a year. So what's the GDP? The GDP is the total value of the goods and services produced in a particular country. Not just the goods, including services, the value, the valuation. You say, can they measure valuation of estimation of services? Yes. All right. So it's the total, is the value of goods and services that is produced in a country in a calendar year. Right. So, and it can also be measured in quarters of a year. So that's okay. I've already said the answer. GDP, that's gross domestic product. Question 5 now. When total revenue equals total cost, total revenue equals total cost. Total cost equals to total revenue. That's what this means. When total revenue equals total cost, or if you like, you can put this here and put this here. It says the firm is making what? Or the organization, the company is making what? Please do not mind all these big grammars. They are just these things you see here are what happens in our day-to-day activity. Many of you watching this video already do 1 or 2 buying and selling, especially sales on WhatsApp or on social media. So when your business, the total amount of income that your business is making, when it equals the total amount you are spending, what is happening to your business? In other words, say you produce this type of vest I'm wearing, you are the one that's producing it, okay, or you are the one that stamps these AllCBTs on it. So it took you 3,000 naira to stamp this AllCBT on it. Then you charge the customer also 3,000 naira. That's your total expenses is equal to your total cost. What is happening to you? What's going on? What is happening is normal profit. What's normal profit? When an organization is just making what is enough to keep the company running, they're not making profit. They're not making real profit. They're just making what is enough to keep the company running. That's after paying staff, paying for expenditures, company expenses, and all of that. There's nothing left. So that is what normal profit. It happens when total cost is equal to total revenue, or total revenue is equal to total cost. Right. So we're now at question 5. I'm sure you've been enjoying this amazing video. If you are yet to subscribe, so I'll give you 3 seconds to do that now. It helps to grow our channel, and it helps drives our morale to continue to produce beautiful and amazing content as this. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm sure you've done so. So let's continue with question 6 now. If the income elasticity of demand for a product is negative, the product is what? The income elasticity, that's the key word. Income elasticity is what? Negative. The product is what? This is an interesting one too. Okay, I'll just break it down for you. So I buy this marker, 100 naira. Yes, because but do you know that this marker I'm using is not the same type of marker that persons like if it were Mr. Dangote that is having this class, or Mr. Tedola that is having this class, he will not agree to use this marker, right? He's going to go for something more sophisticated, a bigger marker, or even a digital board, an electronic board. Right. What has happened is that his taste is higher. So a time comes also, as I'm using this marker, my taste, or I'm making more money, maybe AllCBTs is paying me more, I choose not to use this again. I go for a bigger marker. So what happens is that my income elasticity for this product is now negative, because I'm not buying it much again. Okay, it's now dropping, it's now negative. So it happens to what type of goods? Inferior goods. That happens to inferior goods. So the inferior goods law or principle just means that as your taste increases, as your money increases, as your income increases, your interest or your love for inferior goods reduces. Probably you were buying OK shirts before. When I mean OK shirts, Tokumbo shirts, Tokumbo shoes. Now you start working with a bank and they are paying you $500,000 in a month. You begin to go for boutique clothes, right? So it just simply means that you are losing value for inferior goods. And so what's happening? The income elasticity of demand for tokumbo goods relating to you is reducing. So it's now in the negative. Do you get that now? Good. Question 7. A market with a single seller and high barriers to entry is called what? One seller that sits on top of the market and will not allow any other person to come in. We have such few markets in Nigeria where it is capitalized on. So we have perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. Simple monopoly. So monopoly is a kind of market. I will not mention names. So, but monopoly is a kind of market, and we have, as I speak now, you can reason one or two of those markets in this country where, one man or two people, they sit on top of that particular market or product and services, and would not allow, if you tried to come in as a new rookie, a new boy, they'll frustrate you using all their tentacles everywhere, and you will not find a place or good market share in the market until that new company has to crash out or sell their shares. Yeah, so we have several examples like that, but I don't want to mention names. Question 8 now. The minimum cost at which a firm can produce a given output in the long run is presented as dash. The minimum cost at which a firm can produce a given output in the long run. Notice, you have to be careful with questions, and you must note the key phrases in questions, or the key words. Now, it says what? In the long run. It says what? The minimum cost. So the minimum cost of production in the long run is what? You have short run. It says long run. You can't pick short run. You have marginal, you have total fees. No, it doesn't apply to these two. So it is long run average cost. What does this mean? These things are grammar, but they mean very simple things. This just means that, I say, please, Mr. Badebo, print 2 of these top for me. Buy and print 2 of these top for me. Mr. Badebo will give me a quotation for 2 of these tops, and that quotation will be high, relatively high, because it will be much. Because in that quotation is his price to go and buy it. In that quotation is the price for the top. In that quotation is the printing. In that quotation is miscellaneous. That means money is accrued from 1 or 2's, runarounds, or Now, but if I say to Mr. Bedibo, print 200 of these same tops for me, 200 of these same tops, the amount per unit will be lower. Because why? He can spread his expenses over those 200 tops. So the price is giving me as quotation for 2 tops, maybe 80,000 to print 2 of these tops. If he's printing 200 of these tops, the price may drop to what? For 5,000. Do you understand now? That's what long run average cost simply means. Meaning that the long run average cost will reduce, will be at its minimum. Okay, because I'm printing long over a long duration of time. Okay, that's a good explanation I could give for that. Question 9. Opportunity cost is best described as or defined as what? Okay. A, the money spent to acquire something. No. B, the next best alternative forgone. Yes, you have definitely had it. This one I didn't even need to dwell much on it. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative forgone. So that's option B. And then question 10. A tariff is what? Now, many of you have been watching the news. You've been seeing a lot of balablu on tariffs in the country, especially in the United States, from the President of the United States. But what is a tariff? Now, a tariff is a what? Is it a subsidy to exporters? No. What subsidy? Amounts that the government takes off or supports, a percentage that the government takes off the expenses to export for exporters. So that's not it. A tax on imports. Yes. A tariff is a tax on imports. And the reason the government puts the tariff on the imports is to reduce the amount of imports that is coming into the country, so that what their own local manufacturers or local producers can thrive. Do you understand it? Okay, let me give you a simple example. Let's say I'm the president of this. Okay, question 10. A tariff is a what? Now you've been hearing a lot on the news regarding tariffs, okay, especially with the president of the United States, China, even Nigeria, putting tariffs on imports. So tariffs are always put on imports into a certain country. What are imports? Goods that are coming into a country. They are imports. Exports, goods that are leaving a country. So a tariff is a what? Subsidy to exporters? No. A tax on imports. So the idea behind tariffs is that the government puts a percentage on all goods that are coming into a particular country or state, so that it can discourage importation or reduce importation into their country, so that their own local producers can thrive. Do you understand it at all? So let's say there are two markers. One of those markers is produced internally, but sometimes it's inferior. Many times why this happens is because the ones that is produced internally is not as good as the one that is coming from outside. But perfection takes time, so it's understandable. So let's say this marker now is produced internally, locally. And because it's produced locally, it's sold for what? 100 naira. Okay? Now, based on the number of people that are ordering it. But then, outside the country, maybe in China, they produce another marker, same size, but when you write on the board, you love it. It's so nice. Okay? It doesn't stain the hand, doesn't affect the board, everything is so good. And because they produce in mass, because a lot of countries love that marker, they are able to produce at 15 naira and sell for international communities at 17 naira. So, which is enticing to retailers here or wholesalers here. They begin to preferably order that as a marker from China. What happens is that if that continues, you are killing your local markets, you are killing your local producers. So the government saying that the local producers of this marker are struggling because people are not ordering their product because it's a little bit less, it's a little bit inferior to what's coming from outside. We now put a tariff on the one coming from outside. Okay, they now put a tariff to the extent that the product itself coming into the country was 17 naira before. By the time the government now had tariff and imposed tax, the product now jumped to 150. The unit price in this country now jumps to 150. That will discourage the end users, the retailers, so that they can start going for the local ones, which are cheaper. And with time, the local producers also, they are getting their products better, improving their products. With time, they will be able to match the quality or even beat the quality of the one coming from China. Do you understand? I just painted you a nice picture on this question, because when I explain questions like this, I want you to understand it. I don't just want you to cram answers and go and pour them in your exam, because what if you forget, or the question comes in a different format? So when you see the question in any format, with what I've explained to you now, you will get it. Do you get it now? And if you love that explanation, please give the video a like, alright? It shows that the product is good. That's the videos we make is good, and YouTube can push it to a larger audience. Now we continue. Question 11. If money supply grows faster than real output, the likely outcome is what? This is an interesting one too. Money supply grows faster than real output. The most likely outcome is simple, it's inflation. What that simply means is that, okay, I will still use the producer perspective. So a producer is making this marker, right? And there's only 10 of this marker in this neighborhood, but there are 15 schools and they all want this marker. So everybody is bringing, there's one shop that sells this marker. Everybody comes with their money to buy this marker, okay, from this shop, but the shop only has 10. What happens? The shop will not take the price up. So that, because they know this product is in high demand, okay, and real output, the amount in the market is small, so the shop now increases the price so as to what? Maximize profit, thereby causing what? Inflation. That's just the simple understanding behind this. So when money to a product is coming more than what is able to be produced or what is available for output, the result will be inflation standard. 12. A decline in price of substitute goods causes demand for the original goods to what? This is another interesting one. So where, if you didn't know before, know now. Now, substitute goods are goods that can be substituted for each other. For example, we have Milo, we have Bonvita. Milo and Bonvita are substitute goods. In other words, if you get to a shop, you do not see Milo, you will very, very likely take Bonvita. You will not take Neco, you take Bonvita. If you don't see Bonvita, you very likely take Milo. Do you understand that? Clear? Good. Now, it says a decline in the price of substitute goods. Let's say this is the substitute goods. This one now, we sell it for what? Let's say we sell goods for 500 naira now. So, a decline in the price of substitute goods. This is the substitute for Milo. We all know that Milo is a stronger brand in Nigeria. So let's say we now reduce this Milo price now to what? Let's say to 300. Okay. A decline in the price of substitute goods will cause demand for the original goods to what? This is the original goods. So we have reduced the price of the substitute good to 300. What will happen to Milo, the original goods? The demand for Milo will what? Will drop. It will drop. The demand for Milo will drop. So that's what it means. It says the demand for the original goods will what? Will decrease. The demand for the substitute goods will what? Increase. Because people will just 300. Oh, give me Bonvita. Do you get it now? That is good. Question next. Question 13. The main function of commercial banks. What are commercial banks? Simply put, banks like Access Bank, First Bank, UB, they are all commercial bank. The main functions of commercial bank does not include, now that is the instruction there, does not. It's not one of these. So let's see them. Accepting deposits. Yes, commercial bank accept deposits. At least you go to the bank to pay in deposits at the counter and they accept it. Good. So issuing currency as legal tender, no. They don't have the ability to issue currencies. It's only the CBN that can issue a currency, like 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, if they like, and it's acceptable as a legal tender for goods or service. They can provide loan, they can facilitate payments, but they cannot do this. Okay? 14. Which of the following is a direct tax? Direct tax. And that's what? You have value added tax, which is tax on all goods that is sold or bought. Okay, value added tax. You have custom duty, you have sales tax, you have personal income tax. So personal income tax is your direct tax. Direct tax are tax that cannot be transferred. You cannot transfer your personal income tax to somewhere else. You can transfer all these other ones, but your personal income tax is in your name. It's taxed on the amount you make as a person. You cannot transfer it to your spouse. Do you understand that? Or your friend, or your father cannot transfer it to mother. It's personal. And then 15. The Phillips Curve originally suggested a trade-off between inflation and unemployment, growth, inflation and unemployment, growth and inflation, budget deficit and unemployment exchange. This option is confusing. What's it? Alright, question 15. The Phillips Curve originally suggested a trade-off between what? Inflation and unemployment, growth and inflation, Budget deficit and unemployment. Okay, this is D. Please note that this is D. Exchange rates and inflation. That's the D section. I made a mistake. Alright, so the correct option here is inflation and unemployment. Simple. If there is inflation, companies will have to shed some staff in order to survive, so there will be unemployment. It's like deciduous trees in the forest. When there is no rain, the trees shed off leaves so as to remain alive. So that's simply what it means. Then question 16. An example of a public good is what? Public good, or doing good to the public. Yes, that's what it means. So an example of a public good is what? A private school education. No, this one is for personal profiting. It's not for public good. Mobile phone service, personal. Okay, restaurant meals, the personal person making his own money. Okay, now street lighting is an example of public goods. Private individuals can light up their streets. Your street in your area now, you can decide to light it up. They put the street lights. So you're not charging for, you're not making anything in exchange for it. So that's public good. Next 17. The main source of revenue for most state governments in Nigeria is what? That is this. You have personal saving? No. No, that is value added tax, which I have explained before. VAT. Whenever you transfer money, you will see VAT, maybe 2 naira, 3 naira. So that's the amount that the government charge on value exchange. Okay, and allocations, that's federal accounts. When federal sends them money, federal government send them money. We're talking about the state government. So the main source of revenue for them is VAT, money from their citizens, and their citizens make exchanges, and federal allocation, what the federal sends to them. And then 18. When real GDP falls for 2 consecutive quarters, see, when the GDP of a country is falling, what can we say is happening to the country? For 2 consecutive quarters, that's what? Simple. Recession. If you see this question is a simple one, it's recession. When the GDP of a country falls for 2 consecutive, that means it falls this year, falls next year. Okay? And in parastatals or places, states that use quotas for their GDP growth, a quarter of a year, is falling in 2 consecutive quarters, they better watch it because they are going into a recession. 19. If average propensity to save is 0.2, the average propensity to consume is what? Now, this question, just know at the back of your mind that both propensities must equal 1. Are you getting it now? Both propensities must be equal to 1. So if average propensity to save is 0.2, the average propensity to consume will be what? Simply say 1 minus 0.2, which will be what? 0.8. You want to be sure that your answer is correct. You add these two together, the propensity to save and propensity to consume, it must give you 1. Right? That is it. That's the short trick. So that's option A. And then question 20 now. A quota differs from a tariff in that a quota what? What's a quota? What's a tariff? I've explained tariff a lot, so I won't go back to tariff. So a quota is different from a tariff in that a quota what? A generates government revenue automatically? No. Places a physical limit on quantity imported. Quota means an amount. That's what quota simply means. So in this context of government, because we are looking at government and economics. Now, quota is when the government now places an amount. Say, this marker that's coming from China into Nigeria, we must not import more than 10,000 units in a year. No matter whatever, you must not. So they speak to they have this agreement with the Nigerian Customs Service and all those other related parastatals. So that's a quota. They've placed a quota. So once you get to 10,000 units in a year, we have to wait until next year before we import it again. So, and it's just to also what? To help grassroots companies that are also producing this marker to grow. Do you understand it? Good. Question 21 now. A country experiencing both high unemployment and high inflation. That's terrible for them. High unemployment, no jobs. Okay, because the economy is down. And high inflation, things are expensive, yet no jobs. That's a serious one. It's said to have what? Economic growth? No, it can't be economic growth. Stagflation. What's stagflation? Simply put, just break it down. Stagflation just simply means stagnant economy and inflation. You just join it together to become stagflation. So stagnant economy and inflation. Then you have trade surplus, full employment, not either of this. So trade surplus, there's no surplus here. So it is stagnant economy and inflation. Question 22. The international price of currency determined by demand and supply in the forex market. If you like, you can say buying and selling. Okay. In the forex market. Now note the key words there. International price, demand and supply is determined by demand and supply. So the international price of currency, like naira to dollar to euro, you see the prices are always changing. That's the international price of currency. That's what? Exchange rates. So, and what causes naira to be? Now you see, these days now naira has been going up above the dollar. So what's happening? Not really above the dollar, but it's gaining strength. So what's happening is that there is what? Demand and supply in the forex market. So, and we are doing better. We are doing better than what we used to do. So it's called exchange rates. So 23. Which of the following best describes structural unemployment? Structural unemployment. A. Unemployment during a recession. No. Unemployment due to mismatch of skills and jobs or sectoral shifts. Yes. So there are jobs, but people's skill does not match those jobs. That's what structural unemployment is. Maybe due to technological changes, technological advancements. Yes. So there are a lot of jobs. For example, now in Nigeria now, new jobs are coming up like robotics, like drone managers. But a lot of people don't have those skills. So what happened? Despite they are graduates, they will be unemployed. So they are facing or experiencing what might be called structural unemployment. It's when there is mismatch of skills, okay, or sectoral shifts. There is a shift from what it used to be before to what it is now, and the person doing the job has not adapted to the new now. So he can't do the job, he has to be out of there, right? So 24. The main aim of trade protection, e.g. tariff, quota, we also explained this very well previously. So trade protection, the main aim of the government for imposing tariffs, quotas, and the likes of that is to what? A. Lower domestic prices for all goods. B. Protect, look at that, look at the answer. Protect domestic industries from foreign competition, in order to give some room, some yard for domestic companies. What are domestic companies? Local companies, companies within a state. Okay, in order to give them room for growth. That is why the government will put tariffs and quota on businesses. And then the last question for this beautiful class: when government spending exceeds its revenue in a fiscal year, in a calendar year, this results in what? Budget surplus, balanced budget, budget deficit, trade surplus, budget deficit. So government spending is greater than government spending is greater than government revenue. It results in deficit. Deficit simply means lack. Okay. Loss, negative. That's what deficit means. And in this case, the government now has to go to borrowing in order to be able to meet up, which is what is happening in Nigeria. So the government spending is exceeding its revenue the government is not making enough money, so they have to borrow to keep up. So that's what is called budget deficit, in order to be able to meet up with the budget. All right, so there we have it, 25 solid questions that you will find in your GCE, your Neco, your WAEC, and about every level exams, including exams like JUPEP, NAPTEP, and the like. So make sure you master these questions and related ones. You know, if you want to practice more of these questions, we also have them on our apps, and you can find the link to download those apps in the description section of this video. So go download those apps, they are free, and begin to practice hundreds of these questions. Again, if you have questions or you need clarity, or probably while I was taking some of the answers I got one or two wrong, it's okay to call my attention to it also in the comment section. I'm happy to review it for the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 type of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Kakao,